Welcome back to the Love 'em or Lose 'em YouTube channel. I'm Patrick Bailey.
Hi, I'm Mark Bailey.
I hope you enjoyed our series on child support in the previous weeks. This week we're going to talk about physical custody.
When people come to see me, they sort of have a notion of what custody means, but there is two types of physical custody. There's physical custody with the parties basically sharing the time with the children or child, and then there's sole physical custody where one parent has primarily the children with him or her most of the time. We find that a lot of people have goals to have joint physical custody. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's week on, week off, although most people think that it's week on, week off. But it is close to sharing equal custody in the course of a year where both parties have approximately the same number of overnights. I find that that's the most common goal. A lot of times people say, well, why don't I get that? There's a lot of things that go into physical custody. It's not just, I'm a man, she's a woman, she's got an advantage, I have a disadvantage, whatever it is. It really boils down to what's in the children's best interest. If the court's left to decide that, they have to go through these best interest factors. And sometimes you want to look at things like the distance parties live apart from one another, what I would call practical matters, where you really want to try to get the children to spend as much time as possible with the mother or the father and less time with third-party care providers like a babysitter, even if that's a grandparent or a family member. Child support is also affected a lot by the overnights, the physical custody, but ultimately it boils down to what's best for your children.
Yeah, Mark, I like to think of physical custody as a label and how it affects people's egos. People feel like if they don't have joint physical custody, that their family members or their friends are going to think they're a lousy parent. So I try to explain to them that this is just a label, and really the most important thing you should be focusing on is the parenting time. So can you tell us a little bit about the 2-week cycle or a holiday schedule and how that plays into the label of physical custody?
Well, a 2-week cycle is common for me to talk to clients about because it incorporates 2 weekends. So it's very, very normal for one parent to have the child or children on his or her weekend and then rotate the next weekend. So that really leaves Monday through Thursday. What's the parenting time schedule going to be Monday through Thursday? And there's a lot that goes into that. Do you have suitable housing? Do you live in relatively close proximity to each other? Do you live a distance apart or work a work schedule that doesn't make it practical for you to get your kids to school? And sometimes in the manufacturing sector, for example, people work odd shifts, and that does make it more challenging. But again, we're trying to maximize the time that the parent spends with the other parent. I have situations where a parent works every single weekend, and that other parent might get the weekends because it just makes more sense for the children to be with a particular parent. So it really boils down to maximizing the time that they have. I like to think of the 2-week cycle because I just think it makes it easier to consider that. If you have 7 overnights out of 14, wonderful. If you have 6 or 5, I think you could call that joint physical custody. Again, I agree with Patrick. We get stuck on labels, and it's really maximizing the time that the quality time that the parents spend with their child or children.
To summarize, people focus on their egos and wanting joint physical custody. Circumstances don't always lend to make that happen. And so what we should really focus on is the best interests of the children. And if that's 7 out of 14 overnights or 6 out of 14 overnights, keep it focused on the children. And really that's
Yeah,
most important.
I've had people with scenarios where they're coming up with a schedule and the kids are in the car 50 miles round trip every day, or they're being taken care of with 3 or 4 different family members when the other parent's readily available. So I think that's what you mean when you say ego. I think it's a matter of focusing on what's best for your children, and sometimes it's just impractical for them to be with each parent the same amount of overnights. That's certainly a great goal, though. It's very important for the children to have a relationship with both parents. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for checking in to the Love 'em or Lose 'em YouTube channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check in next week for our topic of legal custody.
Take care.